G'day there guys, haven't hit rock bottom yet, but the good news is the worst is still yet to come. Ha! It's your main man Markee and welcome back to another episode of r/am I the A-hole. Now if you love today's bloody genius content, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbecue, or the Barbie, I don't really care how we say it, and have a good time. Thank you. Posted by user Led Unusual. Titled, Am I the a-hole for making mother-in-law's boyfriend tier 2 at our wedding? So, we got married recently, and it had to be super low budget. Honestly, my feelings were a little hurt, because when my husband's older sister got married a year ago, mother-in-law and father-in-law, divorced, went all out. But they are against us getting married because of our ages, both 20 and not being done with school. So they did not offer to help. My parents chipped in what they could, but like I said, it was super low budget. Mother-in-law lives about 2 hours away, and we don't see her that much. She's been dating Chris for 9 months, but we never met him. She wanted to bring him to the wedding, which was fine, but to save money, we had tier 1 and tier 2. If you were in tier 1, you could pick from an Italian sausage, a steak, a hot dog, or a burger for dinner. If you were tier 2, it was just the burger or hot dog, and there was only enough cake for tier 1. Mother-in-law and Chris went up to get food, and my cousin who was grilling asked what they wanted. No one told them about the tiers, so Chris asked for steak. My husband overheard and explained the tiers. Only family and a couple best friends were tier 1. Chris was laughing but said that it was okay, but mother-in-law made a big deal. She called us rude and tacky 3 times. My husband told her to stop causing a scene, and Chris said that it was really okay, but she was clearly pissy. Mother-in-law texted us the next morning that our party was embarrassing, and that we are tacky. Most of the people seemed to get that we were saving money, and I didn't have any complaints. Father-in-law and sister-in-law agree with mother-in-law though, and said that we were bad hosts. OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the a-hole. It was my first time meeting Chris, and he does have a lot more money, so I don't know if it came off as rude. My mother-in-law claims that we embarrassed her, but it wasn't her wedding, so I don't see how. If you can't afford to properly feed people at your wedding, I question why exactly you're having one in the first place right here, right now. Surely you can save money by waiting a few months or a year and be able to feed people properly, as I would expect to see at a wedding. I feel like that's not even an entitlement issue either. That seems like an expectation that's reasonable. You seem to make this all about Chris, as if he's causing some issues for you guys here, and that your mother-in-law going off and making a big deal about it was uncalled for? You set yourself up for this situation by introducing tiers at a wedding. It kinda comes with a territory that drama is to follow. That is literally tribalism, and we know humans love that stuff. You're not supposed to be encouraging it further at a wedding. That's your fault entirely, OP. You're the a-hole for this one. Now in the comments, Black Manta 04 says, You're the a-hole for having tiered food like that at your wedding. Seriously, so disrespectful to anyone in tier 2. Yikes. At least their friends and family know where they stand with the newlyweds now. That's one of the nastiest and tackiest things I've ever heard of at a wedding. I went to a wedding like this. The married couple obviously wanted a society wedding on an elopement budget. The reception was at a hotel in a venue at the bottom of the garden. While the wedding party had photos done for 1.5 hours, we had to wait around in the sun. As it is transpired, non-wedding party guests weren't allowed in the hotel itself. No drinks were provided, then at the dinner, the top table got a different meal from everyone else. Our food was dreadful. I'm sure for the bride and groom, they thought their wedding was posh and sophisticated. To us mere mortals, it was tacky and tedious, and for all their desire to be seen as classy, they just seemed cheap and thoughtless. The worst thing about OP's wedding is that if she hadn't had steak, she probably could have afforded cake for everyone else. That's what I was thinking. Like seriously, If they had just had hot dogs and hamburgers for all their guests and skipped steak, then maybe they could have afforded a bigger cake? It's just so weird to me to invite people to a party but not have enough food and cake for everyone. Honestly, I'd rather just not be invited than to be told that I had to sit through a whole wedding and reception and not get any cake. Reddit Martina5 says, "You're young. Your older self will wonder what in the world you were thinking. This just isn't done. Cringeworthy. This kind of decision-making ability is exactly why you shouldn't get married at 20. That's what I was thinking. I just feel like they should have held off their wedding. I mean, don't have one if you can't afford it, but I didn't want to say that. No offense. You're the a-hole. You cannot treat guests like second-class citizens. Just do burgers and hot dogs for everyone if your budget is too low to offer everyone premium food. And cake. Everyone deserves cake at a wedding." Posted by user Quasi-Competent. Titled, "Am I the a-hole for lying to my sister-in-law about our wedding date?" This happened in 2018. My husband's sister is really dramatic and self-centered. She has a bad reputation of making others' weddings all about herself. She tried to give a drunken maid of honor speech when she wasn't the maid of honor at one wedding, and she wore a long white dress that looked like a wedding dress to another. My husband and I think it has something to do with her resentment over not being married. But regardless, my wedding day was very important to me, so I didn't want her to ruin it. I couldn't uninvite her because of my husband, and I would have gotten in a lot of trouble with his family. So my husband and I hatched a plan. We made all of the normal wedding invitations that said the real date of the wedding, May 3rd, but we made one invitation that said May 6th and sent it to her. She doesn't talk much with my husband's other relatives, so she never realized that the date was wrong. She didn't come to the wedding because she had the wrong date, and the wedding went really smoothly. After the wedding, we asked her why she didn't come. She swore it was on May 6th, but she'd thrown her invitation away, so she had no proof. Basically, we made sure that she didn't come to the wedding, and it was a good thing too, because she attended my husband's cousin's wedding in 2019 and stumbled into the cake and destroyed it for attention. I don't regret keeping the wedding date a secret from her, but my husband feels really bad because she's his sister. He wants to come clean to her, but I told him that would only make things worse. Am I the a-hole? I find it hard that she's so disconnected from everyone that she didn't get any info about the wedding from either side of the family. But nonetheless, she didn't do anything particularly wrong in this instance. You prevented her from doing anything wrong at your wedding in a way that you indirectly kept her out without having to admit to it, sly as that was. I don't think at this point in time, telling her that you guys did it intentionally is a good idea. That will just cause more trouble than it's worth, but if that's what you guys gotta do, then do it, I guess. I'm inclined to say this situation alone in a vacuum is a you're the a-hole judgment, but I'm also open to everyone sucks here if we're gonna judge her on her past actions. Now in the comments, Prawn Vindaloo, that would taste so weird, says, "And no one ever mentioned the wedding date to her in the entire thread up to the event? No one posted about it on social media? No one called or texted her to coordinate plans ahead of time, or to ask her where the hell she was when she didn't show up? Her entire involvement with her brother's wedding plans consisted of a single paper invitation." Yeah, I'm having trouble believing that nobody on husband's side of the family said a thing to her. No one. Not at all. Also, May 3rd of 2018 was a Thursday. OP replies, "May 3rd was the anniversary of the day that my husband and I started dating, so we wanted it to be our wedding date, if it matters." Look, if you were willing to do it, and I agree it was the right move, you have to take it to the grave. Because if you tell her, for the first time in her life, she is not the one who started it, do you know what an opportunity that would be giving it to a narcissist like that? Instead of her sabotaging and deliberately hurting others, you did it to her. So therefore, she would be justified in going after you. Someone like that will make your lives hell until the end of time. She will mess with your kids, she will mess with you will regret opening your mouth. The fact that no one in your extended family mentioned it to her means that people agreed with you and were trying to help. If your husband opens his mouth now, you're both going to regret it. Everyone sucks here. Your sister-in-law is the a-hole because of the way that she acts at weddings. You and your husband are the a-hole because you stated that you couldn't uninvite her because my husband and I would have gotten in a lot of trouble with his family, but then stated that she doesn't talk much with my husband's other relatives. So I highly doubt that this is the case. You then took it a step further and asked her why she didn't attend and gaslit her into thinking that she was wrong. I see your point, but that was a really big lie. It's done and you got what you wanted, so it's too late to fix. I think husband should never tell his sister. If I was his sister, and I don't think I've ruined a wedding or anything, I would never talk to him again. Are you sure she threw it away? I tend to lose things, but I don't usually throw them away. If she comes across it, she'll show it to the whole family. Couldn't you have talked to his parents or enlist help from your friends or his mum? I have heard of people doing this. This just seems like it's just going to have to sit as a secret. Unless, like, she's an addict and stays straight for 5 years, I would never tell her. She may be a terrible guest. She sounds like Brooke Shields' mum when she drinks, but giving her the wrong date. I don't know. It seems really more unkind than inviting her at all. If you had a friend who, for whatever reason, did not want you at her wedding, would you rather not be invited or show up on the wrong date? It's like ghosting his sister. Not only that, she probably incurred some expenses to attend a wedding she never had a chance of attending. OP and her husband are cowards. They should have either not invited her and told her why, or invited her and put her on notice about her behavior with someone appointed to watch her and escort her out at the first sign of trouble. This was just wrong no matter what way you look at it. Posted by user TA Constellation. Titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to honor my wife's deceased best friend in our daughter's name? In January 2020, my wife's best friend died. It was shocking and her death has left a hole in all our hearts. It hit my wife really hard and she's still working through it in therapy. A decision I support wholeheartedly. I have been as supportive as possible, and have taken on the vast majority of childcare in the past year in order to give her a bit of a breather when she comes home from work. In sickness and in health, right? My wife got pregnant with our third child and third daughter. Our first, 4, and second daughter's, 18-month-old, name was our dream name, and had a lot of sentimental value to us. I don't want to say the exact names, but I feel it's important to express the vibe of the name. So think Alessandra Eve and Elodie Blair. Elegant, uncommon, but not unique, and easy to spell. I am very into names, so naming my children, and even pets, is something I take seriously and actively enjoy. I stress that both myself and my wife were equal in naming our daughters, and by no stretch of the imagination were either one of us left out. My wife, while also into names, is less so than me. Her best friend was a self-claimed hippie, and big into astrology. Around the time we were naming our daughters, wife talked to her friend about names, who always said there was only one name that she wanted to name her future daughter. Constellation V. My wife now is intent on naming our daughters this name as a way to honor her friends and carry on her legacy. Constellation sticks out like a sore thumb. V I can work with, as both Vivian and Violet were on our list both times, and V can be a nickname for either of those. My wife maintains that we have already used up all girls' names sentimental to us, so we can honor her friend. Besides, she wants to primarily use the nickname Stella, with Constellation as the legal name, as it fits well enough with our daughters. I disagree, and even if it did, I'm very against naming a child a name that you can never call them, as it causes way too much confusion. The last straw for me was when she told 4-year-old behind my back that the baby's name is Constellation. I only found out when I was putting her to bed, and Alessandra said, "Daddy, are you looking forward to meeting Constellation? Mummy said she's going to be beautiful like Auntie. Her name's funny though." I was fuming, as I don't like my kid being used as a tool against me, and also cemented that a child can't pronounce the name and finds it funny, which I believe is crucial for if you want your child to survive school. I confronted my wife, and she got defensive and we fought. I think I may be the a-hole, as I responded that she doesn't have our future daughter's best interests at heart by landing her with a stupid name. And if she doesn't cooperate with finding a more suitable name, I will come up with one from the list we both like when we had our daughters, and register it while she is still immobile from the C-section. I hate that it's come to this, but a bad name can really set you back in life, and it's a hill I'm prepared to die on. Am I the a-hole? I was pretty well on your side until the end there, where you decided to just drop a nuclear bomb on the situation. Dear God, what was that, OP? That's straight up psycho vibes you've just given off there. You're like, if I can't name the child, then I'll wait till my wife is paralyzed, immobile. She can't stop me, and I won't allow that cringe name in her dead friend's honor to ever exist in this world, because I have the power now. I'm prepared to die before having some goddamn decency or sanity. Like, your wife isn't without sin in this situation either. I don't agree with her trying to force you into a name that you aren't comfortable with. And I disagree with her telling the 4-year-old the child's name as a manipulation tactic, knowing that they would mention it to you. Everyone sucks here in this situation, and I want you guys to sit down and handle this one as adults and not petulant children who get mad and passive-aggressive when one doesn't get their way. Now in the comments, Blackberry Beetle says, "Everyone sucks here. I was with you until you said that you'd go behind her back and write a name that you thought of while your wife recovers. In a way, that's just as scummy as her telling your daughter the name she wants is the name of the baby. With baby names, it's 2 yes and 1 no. Your wife needs to let this name go and think of a different one. Maybe you guys can compromise with Constance, since it kinda sounds like Constellation? Your daughter was basically an example of how your unborn child's peers will treat her and her name. Your wife needs to see that. However, don't threaten your wife that you'll choose a name yourself. You both need to think of a name that you both like. Or maybe just Stella V? Like legal name is Stella. It's relatively uncommon, easy to pronounce, and still honors the friend. I have good authority on my first 2 points as another Stella, lol. This kinda sounds like Sailor V to me, which could be annoying but probably isn't a deal breaker. Everyone sucks here. Going behind her back, no. Agree about names. My brother was named after a French friend of my parents, Americans, Jacques. It's a lovely name, and boy did it get twisted. Jackass and Jockstrap were the most common. I was also given an unusual name, but it became a favorite on soap operas when I was a teenager, so it's pretty common now. Fortunately, it didn't get twisted. Names are very important. Stella V sounds like it would honor your wife's friends and not traumatize the child growing up. Everyone sucks here. Her for being unreasonable, and you for threatening to use her condition against her. Sit down and have a civilized conversation. You say she was a hippie and into astrology. Good God, you have so many options to figure out a decent name. How about choosing a name of a constellation? You can search about stars, planets, the signs in both your culture and other ones, and find something you both like. That would be a nice tribute to her friend, and also the kid wouldn't get mocked for being called Constellation. Something like Andromeda V would work. Captures their naming style and is a constellation. And OP says, "That's really pretty. We'll put that on the list." That's great because Andromeda is a constellation, so hopefully your wife will be happy with that. However, do not write down the baby's name when your wife is unconscious. She could easily prevent you from coming inside when she is giving birth, and she could easily tell the nurse what she wants the name to be either way. You're setting up for a lot of issues if you do this, and you would be a massive a-hole if you do this. And Sharp of You says, Stella! A streetcar named Desire. Jokes aside, Stella isn't a terrible name, but Constellation is. Vivian Stella, Violet Stella would be good options. Both parents should agree on baby names. Everyone sucks here. And OP replies, I know Stella too well. I had to write a dissertation on that goddamn play, lol. The name I'm planning on suggesting is Vivian Celeste, which has a similar astrology feel. Vivienne also has a sentimental meaning to me and means life, which is cool. Our surname, as well as one of our daughter's names, I used fake names with a similar vibe in the post, is a bit too clashy with Stella, and the streetcar reference is a bit of a put-off as well. Still have cold sweats thinking about staying up all night analysing Blanche, Stella, and Stanley. Funnily enough, my wife suggested Blanche for a middle name for our second daughter, but we didn't use it. And OP puts an update at the end of their post. Update. Apologize to my wife for my comments. I can see that I was totally in the wrong. I went through on why Constellation V was a bad name, and she agreed that it was best for both parents to be 100% on board, but is still keen to have a name that sums up her friends. We are reading through your suggestions. She likes Celeste, Estelle, and Vivienne. Thank you guys for your comments. G'day there guys, and that's the end of today's episode. I do hope you enjoyed it and were entertained by today's bloody good content. As always, I want to do a quick shout out and a thank you to all my channel members and Patreon subscribers. Your beautiful faces and names will be up on screen right now. Haven't forgot about you guys, sorry I was taking a little break there. So yeah, if you see yourself, give yourself a pat on the back. If you want to be on this screen, there's links down to the description below where you can sign up and help support the channel and all future projects that I'm going to be doing on this one. With all that said, I hope you guys have an amazing day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to. I'll see you in the next episode, and I do hope you enjoy it. Thank you.